Okay, I'm back, and now I'm going to be doing the same mod, and this time I'm doing it on my main controller. So, first I'm going to showcase how bad the snapback is on the controller right now. So I'm going to system settings, controllers and sensors, and calibrate control sticks, and just show that the snapback almost reaches all the way to the other side, around to here. You can do a frame by frame and see how bad the snapback is. Anyway, this one is a little bit worse than my spare controller that I did earlier today. So when I mod this one, I'm actually going to try a slightly stronger capacitor. The the spare controller, I used a 0.7 microfarad capacitor. I'm going to be using a 0.68 microfarad capacitor this time. If it's too strong, I'm going to open the controller and switch it back to a weaker capacitor. But for now, I'm going to work under the assumption that this one needs a stronger capacitor. I don't have an oscilloscope to test exactly how strong it needs to be, so that'll be something I'll just have to trial and error. Anyways, I'm going to turn my switch controller off, set my switch to sleep, and now we're going to begin disassembly of the controller. My workspace off a little bit, and full screen this here, transform, fit to screen. Okay, starting with the screws on the bottom. I should really use a slightly larger bit size so I don't accidentally strip this controller. Now the grips will slide right off. Move those off to the side. I'm going to get a duster from my brother's room so I can clean my controller while I go. Got an electronics duster here instead of a canned air, so I can blow the dust off this controller. I'm going to double check that it's not so loud that the microphone picks it up. Okay, perfect. So my NVIDIA broadcast is doing its job in making sure that that doesn't blast through my microphone. And did a good job taking away most of the dust for now. Good. So now I'm going to take the screws off the back. 2, 3, and 4. Should come right off. We just lift somewhere to lift right down here. Okay, back shell comes off. Gonna dust this. Shell off to the side. I'm now going to remove the battery. Like that. Battery's out. I'm gonna put that off to the side as well. And I'm going to dust the controller interior again. Next, going to remove the rest of these screws on the back of this controller. One below the battery, here, below the battery compartment. One right here, right next to the grips. And the other side grip as well. We're going to use this screwdriver instead to take this one out. It fits in there better. We don't want to accidentally strip the screws. Okay. 2, 3, 4, and 5 inside of the battery component right here. I need to use the thinner screwdriver here. This right there. That's the screw. And one more right here. Okay, now everything is off. The front should come right off. Right off. Did I miss a screw? I don't believe so. Yes, it's just a tight fit the first time around. I'm gonna give it a little bit of convincing persuasion. Okay. And it's up. The adhesive has come off the left. That's okay. I will put that back on. But first I have to release the ribbon cable. I'll take a photo of this for documentation reasons. Camera. Like this. And the board drops out. I probably should have not let it drop so aggressively, but that is okay. Now this adhesive pad should be here. I like to keep that where it is. We're done with the front for now. I'm not doing anything with the front for now, so we'll put this aside. And the ribbon cable is intact, so we're good. Everything working. No dust to be seen. So I'll leave that on the side. And we'll begin taking screws off from the back of this controller now, after removing the sticks. Joysticks just pop right off. Side. Not particularly dusty, but I guess I can give them a wipe. Nice microfiber cloth wipe. Right, now we're setting out to remove the remainder of these screws. There'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all I'll need to remove to take the board out. One more screw. 2. 3. The lighting module can slide right out. To the side. And number 4, screw right here. Now the board should be able to come loose. Finicky because of the USB-C port. Took me a little bit to take out the first time as well. Go. Okay. And now we have access to the back pins of the board. Now we can do our soldering. Here we are going to want to solder to these pins. Refer to my guide here again. We want positive white to pin 2 and the negative to pin 3. So we'll start with the negative. We can take the soldering iron, which is now hot and ready, and negative to pin 3. A little bit of soldered wire as well. This one is not taking as easily as it did on the other controller. That'll do. Okay, and now we'll go white to pin 2. Okay. So now I can clean the solder tip, and we can glue this down. So we can now glue this down. So a little bit of hot glue to keep things in place. Glue job is done. Sticks out a little bit. Not as good as my first try, but they'll hold. Now I have to fit the wires back around the way that I did on the first try. So this white one needs to go under the gray ribbon cable, and it will fit through like so. And then the red one can go around. Okay. Right. This will fit. We're in business. Good. This around this way. Thread it through like this. Okay. That should be quick. Now I can choose my capacitor to put in. Which I'm going to try the slightly stronger 0.68 microfarads. Verify that the number matches 684. Take this tool. It's just a bit. So at this point, the board is ready to be screwed back in place. So I will screw this board back in place, and I'm going to plug in the battery to the back and test that the stick snapback is doing okay. Oh, I didn't realize you sent the message. I've been super focused, my bad. Yeah, I'm not replacing a part. What I'm doing is soldering on these two cables so I can put a capacitor into this spot. This extends the wires. They're soldered onto the pins on the back of the analog stick so that it can help to reduce the snapback. Here. Yeah, so let me show the camera here. If you rewind the video a bit, you saw I was doing something with the soldering iron. I soldered the ends of these two cables onto, there's these three contacts behind the analog stick. They control the horizontal inputs, and by putting a capacitor here, it's possible to eliminate the opposite direction. I'm not really entirely sure how the electronics part works, but I tested with my other controller and the snapback is basically completely gone. And I could have just directly soldered the capacitor to it, just this little orange piece at the end. But by putting the wires here, I can hot swap. Like, I don't have to lift the whole board anymore. If I want to change to a different strength capacitor, I can just pull these back out from here and switch it to a different one. So I'm actually trying a slightly stronger capacitor for my main controller because the snapback's a little bit worse on it. And then if it's eating inputs, as in some of my inputs do not register properly because of how strong the capacitor it is that I put in there, then I can switch to the weaker one step down, like the one that I used on the spare controller. And here's just the last screw. This is the LED module. Okay, oh, and I think I just stripped the screw a bit. That's not good. Okay, I'm not going to mess with that for now. Luckily, I won't have to lift that later. And so now I can put my sticks back on. Put this one back on as well. C stick. Okay, and while I have this off, I can clean the rim a little bit of the dust that's building up. Just these little hole sockets. And here comes the hard part that I needed my brother's help with last time. I needed to put the ribbon cable back on, but first I need to fit this into a spot that it's not going to get sandwiched by the other components. So what I've been doing is I'm actually sandwiching it behind the little rumble motor. Like that. The little orange bit sticking out is the capacitor, and then the black tips are, or the black contacts, the metal wires, are now next to the rumble motor. Now then, I can put the front of the controller back on after I connect the ribbon cable, which is the difficult part. For me, at least. I don't know if other people have as much trouble with ribbon cables as I do. Go to my photo and see if that's in deep enough. I think it should be okay. So now I'm going to snap the top back of the controller, and it's making full contact, which is good. So wipe off the top real quick. And before I screw anything back in, I'm going to pop the battery in. I'm going to connect it to my switch and see if it's eating inputs. And now I can right click this, transform. Actually, oops, we'll do that. Okay, so it's still registering. Yeah, it's still snapping back. I might actually have to put an even stronger capacitor in there. Now it's only snapping back to about here instead of almost all the way to the other end, though, which is good. I'm going to try a stronger capacitor and see if that makes it a little bit better. So I'm going to power off the controller, and then I'm going to hit the power button here on my switch, pop the battery back out again. This, stretch to screen. Pop the back off. Oh, I guess pop the front off. And now I don't have to worry about the ribbon cable. It's working fine. And I'm going to lift the capacitor back out. I'm going to take the capacitor out like that. There's that little capacitor. And we're going to switch to a higher strength one. And I can put this one back. So this one was a 0.68 microfarad. So I'm going to try 1 whole microfarad. And the number on the capacitor should say 105, which is correct. Now I can just seat this back in. So, and then the other leg can go into here. Blocking the view. My hands are blocking the view, that's what it is. So now the capacitor is in again. And I'm gonna swap this back in. Actually, I should probably use this little trick to make it a little bit more sturdy in there. What's the oof for? Did I break something? And pop the controller back on. Still good. Pop the battery back in again. This on. Interesting, it still snaps back a little bit over to here. I don't want to put it any stronger because then I'm really at risk of making it eat all my inputs, but this is already a lot better than before. So I think I'll leave with this one. I'm gonna... Actually, we'll see. I'll boot up Smash Bros. Real quick. I don't want to keep pressing on the battery because it's not good for it. So the control stick, when it snaps back, it's a little bit about like how loose the control stick is. If the control stick is more tight, the stick it has more force when it snaps back to neutral, and that extra force is what lets it go past the neutral reset position. So tighter sticks will have stronger snapback, and as it loosens, it will become less aggressive. When it resets to neutral, it won't have as much force to get all the way to the other end. So Ah, yeah. I think you can just press the end button on your keyboard and it will bring you straight to the end. I'm just gonna put this back shell real quick on like that. Oops. My controller's not fully assembled right now, but it's just like really impromptu. Wait, what's not going on? There we go. I haven't screwed anything back on yet, but I'm just testing that the inputs are working as intended. One of the potential problems with doing the fix this way is it eats some of the inputs. But now, no longer pivot grabs. And one of the things that I wanted to test was the jab backer combo for Roy. It was a little bit less consistent on the spare controller of mine. Well, I'm still able to do the input, but it's a little bit more sensitive. If I go too fast, or if I start the input too quickly, it doesn't. Actually, no, this is working fine. I think I'm like I don't play Roy enough to consistently input this, but that's all it could be. It could just be I'm not used to inputting this input that quickly with Roy. But now I should be able to consistently do my B reverses and it won't randomly pivot grab when I try and do a run up and grab. I'm doing that on purpose. I'm pivot grabbing on purpose. And now I can do run up and smash without smash stick. Without randomly getting dash attacked. Oh, this is really good. Okay, you go eat. I'm gonna reassemble my controller. I'm sticking with 1 microfarad. This is working really well. I like this a lot. So now I'm going to power my switch off. I'm going to take everything back off again. And then pop the back shell off. Oh, this like plastic scuffed. That's so strange. I thought I wiped all that off. Interesting. Anyways, battery come out first. And now I'm going to start reinstalling some of these screws. This is one of the shiny screws. What am I doing with that one? No. I need the dull screws. Battery goes back in. Then back case goes on. Like so. Now I can start with the shiny screws. Okay. My controller is now assembled again. Doing another input test. Well, I'm done with the soldering and I'm done with the glue, so I can unplug those. So, hot glue gun. Maybe I should leave the hot glue gun plugged in for a little bit. I'm gonna need it to take off all the glue that got. Oh, never mind. It's kind of just like coming right off. Never mind. I can indeed unplug my hot glue gun. Okay.
Stop battle! Roy! 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh yeah, this is working really well. Okay. I think this is working as well as I could expect it to. And that's going to conclude that. My little experiment. You know what? Before I end this, I need to plug my soldering thing on the steel wool. Because, I don't know, the tin or something is oxidized. It's kind of not shiny like it needs to be. It's dull. But everything else is good. So I can start cleaning up now. I have extra parts if anybody who watches this would like me to try and just do the capacitor mod on their controllers as well. I am down. Thanks for watching.